to look out for other opportunities of progression in education and training through the vocational pathway. You do not have to drop out of formal education at all. You can try again through this other pathway. So we praise God in a special way now that we are finally releasing the results of the first cohort of candidates under the new lower secondary curriculum. As I said earlier, this curriculum was rolled out in 2020. As you all know, the start was not smooth, as occasioned among other disruptions by COVID-19 pandemic. Indeed, many people thought that this curriculum was something that government would soon drop. This perhaps explains why we kept getting reports that many schools were stuck in teaching the old curriculum. However, we remained steadfast in implementing the new lower secondary curriculum despite those hiccups, because the curriculum was designed to develop competencies in all the areas of learning. It was the best for our country and our plans for the future, using the head, the hands, and the heart. Learners who have gone through this curriculum have the ability for self-learning, as you heard from all the colleagues who spoke before me. I'm glad to hear from the Executive Director, UNEB, that, for instance, in science practical work candidates use a scenario and materials provided and plan their own investigations using the science process skills. The assessment tasks are geared towards solving problems in the real world. These are the citizens the country needs to be coming out of our education system now. They will contribute greatly to the realization of our national vision, which focuses on transformation from peasantry to modern and prosperous Uganda. To effectively assess competence-based learning, achievement of the learners was assessed at school level, and the continuous assessment scores, which now form part of the overall learners' UCE examination grade. This has reduced the impact of just a one-shot end-of-cycle examination. Combination of continuous assessment and end-of-cycle scores gives a holistic picture of the learner's achievement. We have seen it in the Executive Director's report, exemplified by the deaf candidates whose performance has significantly improved. I call on the professionalism of the teachers to ensure the integrity of the continuous assessment scores submitted to UNEB. This is very important because that's how we get the whole learning of any one of the students of the work they do throughout the year. Validity and reliability must be observed in generating these continuous assessment scores so that they reflect the true levels of achievement by the learner. I ask UNEB, within the resources available, to institute a robust training, monitoring, and evaluation system to ensure that schools comply with the guidelines issued on continuous assessment and project work assessment. I thank the National Curriculum Development Center for the hard work in putting the new lower secondary competence-based curriculum in place. I also want to thank the parents that provided input from a parent's perspective during the review of the final draft of the new lower secondary curriculum. Maybe we don't thank the parents enough But we must remember that they also have a role, and we don't forget to thank them. I call on the country to accept this change, which is for the better. I know that we have for a long time been used to aggregates and divisions, as you heard Mr. Odong say, leading to ranking of schools. This was always a source of very unethical practice by many schools to survive in the unhealthy competitions that had developed. Therefore, I'm happy to see that the NCDC and UNEB have now come up with a new approach that eliminates ranking candidates by divisions attained. Relatedly, I have also learned that the Office of Personal Data Protection has drawn UNEB to the provisions within the Data Protection and Privacy Act Cap 97 that prohibits the publication of personal data of children. As such, UNEB has been informed by the Personal Data Protection Office, in quotes, that publicly disclosing the names, photographs, and individual grades of learners on boards or other publicly accessible platforms exposes such learners to harassment, stigma, and emotional distress. Accordingly, schools are advised now to use alternative methods of sharing examination outcomes without compromising student privacy by way of disclosing personal learner information or data. Therefore, I now task UNEB and all the other examination and assessment agencies under the Ministry of Education and Sports, together with the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Education and Sports, to liaise with the Data Protection and Privacy Office for further appreciation of this guidance on how to fully comply with the Data Protection and Privacy Act and its regulations in the management of assessment and examination results. Thereafter, the Permanent Secretary shall formally communicate to all education institutions of learning by way of a circular on how to always ensure privacy of individual learners' results. For now, in keeping with the Data Protection and Privacy Act, Cap 97, and its regulations, schools and institutions of learning should desist from all forms of public display of individual learner academic results. That said, I must send hearty congratulations to our learners who have had their places sealed in history as the first cohort to sit for the UCE examinations under the new lower secondary curriculum. That is competence-based and have qualified for the award of the certificate. I thank the teachers who guided them through the learner-centered teaching approach which this curriculum required. I thank the parents again and guardians who supported the learners, especially in the project work. And once again, I thank UNEB Board, Secretariat, and all the people who participated in the assessment and scoring process of the 2024 USE examination. Lastly, I wish to inform all schools and the general public that the selection dates for the Senior 5 class of 2025 are the 20th to 21st Feb 2025. The first term reporting date for the Senior 5 class of 2025 is Monday, the 3rd March 2025. It is now my singular honor to release the 2024 USE results for both the last cohort of examinations under the previous lower secondary curriculum and a pioneer class under the new lower secondary curriculum. I thank you and God bless you. Thank you, Ministry of Education, UNEB, Committee in Parliament, everybody related to this work. I thank you and God bless you.
Mama, with your permission,